Some players had it all: talent, fame, and a future that looked unstoppable. But in the blink of an eye, it all came crashing down. Bad choices, shocking mistakes, and careers destroyed forever. These stories are unbelievable, and they prove how fast everything can disappear in the NFL. The NFL has seen countless battles on the field, but some moments go way past football. One of the ugliest scenes came in 2019 when Myles Garrett completely lost control. With only seconds left in the game, he tore off Steelers quarterback Mason Rudolph's helmet and swung it like a weapon, smashing it against his head. The crowd gasped, players sprinted onto the field, and chaos took over. It didn't look like a game anymore. It looked like a street fight in pads. Garrett was handed an indefinite suspension, the longest punishment ever for a single fight, but the image of him swinging that helmet is burned into NFL history forever. But not all crashouts are about one man snapping. Sometimes a whole rivalry boils over. In 1970, when the Raiders met the Chiefs, the hate was already deep, and it exploded that day. After a nasty hit, both benches cleared, fists flew, and bodies piled up in the middle of the field. Players were throwing punches, helmets were ripped off, and coaches had to drag their own men away before it got even worse. The refs completely lost control, and what was supposed to be football turned into all-out war. For years after, that brawl fueled even more bad blood between the two franchises. Of course, some fights are remembered because of who was involved. Andre Johnson was known as a quiet, humble star, the last guy you'd expect to throw hands. But in 2010, Cortland Finnegan pushed him too far. Finnegan kept taunting, shoving, and trash-talking until Johnson snapped. Right there in front of everyone, he ripped Finnegan's helmet off and started pounding him with bare fists to the head. The stadium erupted. Players tried to separate them, but Johnson kept swinging. Both men were ejected and fined, but fans couldn't believe they'd just seen one of the league's calmest superstars completely lose it. Not all breakdowns end in a fight. Sometimes it's a meltdown so bizarre that fans are left stunned. That's what happened with Antonio Brown. In the middle of a game against the Jets in 2022, he suddenly stripped off his jersey, tossed his gloves into the stands, and jogged off the field shirtless while waving to the crowd. Coaches begged him to calm down, teammates were in shock, and the world was watching one of the most surreal walk-offs ever. He didn't just quit the game, he quit his team right in the middle of a play, cementing himself in NFL history for all the wrong reasons. And then there's Albert Haynesworth, who committed one of the dirtiest acts the league has ever seen. In 2006, after a routine play, he ripped off Andre Gurod's helmet and stomped down hard on his exposed face with metal cleats. Blood poured immediately, and Gurod needed over 30 stitches above his eye. Fans and players were disgusted, calling it less a football play and more an assault. The league hit Haynesworth with a massive suspension, but the damage to his reputation was permanent, and if stomping a man's face left fans horrified, the next crashouts took things to an even more reckless level, turning entire games into pure chaos. 1997, Broncos versus 49ers. Things were already heated, but then Bill Romanowski took things to a disgusting level. After a play, instead of walking away, he leaned into wide receiver J.J. Stokes and spit directly in his face. Cameras caught it, fans erupted in anger, and even Romanowski's own teammates couldn't believe it. This wasn't toughness. It was humiliation. The league fined him heavily, but the stain on his name stuck far longer. And if spitting was sickening, the next crash out made players fear for their safety on the field. Lyle Alzado was already feared as one of the most violent players in the league, but in 1983, he showed just how unhinged he could be. During a playoff game, he ripped the helmet off Jets tackle Chris Ward and hurled it across the field. Then he tried to swing on him like it was a bare-knuckle fight. The refs jumped in immediately, but the damage was done. Alzado's rage turned the game into a sideshow. Fans already thought he was a maniac, but that day cemented it. And if Alzado's helmet toss was shocking, the next one made the entire crowd gasp in horror. In 1993, the Houston Oilers weren't just battling their opponents, they were fighting themselves. Defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan got into a sideline argument with offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride during a nationally televised game. But it didn't stop at words. Ryan cocked back and punched him right in the face on live TV. Players and staff had to separate them while millions watched. Fans couldn't believe it. A coach throwing hands at another coach. It was chaos that made the Oilers the laughingstock of the league. And as insane as coaches' fighting was, the next crash-out showed players could lose it off the field too. The Raiders were supposed to be locked in for Super Bowl 37, but instead, their Pro Bowl center Barrett Robbins vanished the night before the game. He ended up in Mexico, suffering a complete mental breakdown, leaving his team blindsided. Without their starting center, the Raiders were destroyed by the Buccaneers. The story wasn't just shocking, it was sad, and it revealed the darker struggles hiding beneath the surface of the game. And if Robbins' breakdown ruined a Super Bowl, the next meltdown nearly derailed an entire season. Giants vs. Panthers, 2015. What started as a regular matchup quickly turned into a full-blown personal war. Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman went after each other every snap, grabbing, shoving, throwing cheap shots. Beckham completely lost his cool, launching himself helmet first into Norman in one of the dirtiest hits of the season. Flags flew, fines piled up, and the entire game became a one-on-one fight that overshadowed everything else. It wasn't football anymore, it was a grudge match on national television. And if two superstars clashing looked insane, the next crash-out proved that entire dynasties can implode in front of the world. The younger brother of Michael Vick had his NFL dreams wiped out in seconds thanks to his reckless behavior. During his brief time with the Dolphins, Marcus stomped on a downed defender in a preseason game, drawing immediate backlash. It was supposed to be his chance to prove himself, but instead he showed nothing but immaturity and violence. The team cut him right after. Fans saw it as one of the quickest and ugliest crash-outs in football history. And if that was bad, the next crash-out was so wild, it actually spilled into the stands. Buccaneers vs. Saints games are always nasty, but in 2017, things hit a boiling point. Jameis Winston poked at Saints corner Marshawn Lattimore, and before anyone knew it, wide receiver Mike Evans came flying in from nowhere with a blindside hit that sent Lattimore crashing to the ground. Both benches cleared, shoving matches broke out, and it turned into pure chaos. Evans was suspended, but the memory of him launching himself like a missile is one fans will never forget. And if that sideline brawl was wild, the next meltdown came from a player who simply walked away in the middle of it all. Vontaze Burfict was already known as one of the dirtiest players in the league, but in 2019, he went too far. During a game against the Indianapolis Colts while playing for the Oakland Raiders, he launched helmet first into tight end Jack Doyle, a brutal hit that left fans and players disgusted. The league had seen enough. They suspended him for the rest of the season, the longest punishment ever handed out for an on-field hit. It wasn't just reckless, it was career-ending. Burfict never played another down in the NFL. And if Burfict's crash-out was the end of a career, the next one nearly cost a man his life. Bengals wide receiver Chris Henry had battled issues throughout his career, but in 2009, his story ended in tragedy. After a heated domestic dispute, he jumped into the back of a moving truck during an argument with his fiancée. Moments later, he fell and suffered fatal injuries. He was only 26. Fans were heartbroken, teammates were crushed, and the league was forced to confront how quickly things can spiral when off-field issues collide with fame and pressure. And with that, the NFL proved once again that when emotions boil over, crash-outs can destroy careers, shatter reputations, and leave unforgettable scars on the game.